The Curse of a Native. I did not realize how much I had missed Dr. John Watson until he came to the door and beamed at me before taking my hat and coat.
"You were supposed to be back a week ago,"
was his greeting. I carefully lit my pipe, even before sitting down.
"Didn't lose any opportunities to poison yourself, I see,"
he continued with his usual cynicism, frequently displayed over the years about my smoking habit. I finally sat down, delighted to be back home, and looked at him, trying my utmost not to allow any expression on my face that would give away anything or give away any clues.
"Don't tell me. Somehow on holiday out there in the African bush, some case came up."
I nodded back, looking rather pleased with myself. "Very perceptive, my dear Watson, very perceptive."
"These cases do follow you around the world then, don't they? Who would have guessed that some minor case of burglary would come up at some remote gaming lodge in Africa?"
Not burglary, my dear Watson, but suspected murder. I am hoping that you can work it out for me as I did." I had punished the man enough, and so I settled down to give him the details of the strange murder in the most beautiful place I have ever been to, in the heart of the African bush, just days before my holiday was due to come to an end. I have to admit that I had become quite fond of John Adams, the chain-smoking American who loved his beer and recounting tales of his encounters with the high and mighty, including royalty. His hearty laugh at the end of almost all his tales was rather infectious, and so when I came down for breakfast at the gaming lodge one morning and found him sprawled on the floor of the dining area, dead and surrounded by shocked guests, I was more than a little distressed. His face was still twisted in pain, and he was clearly foaming from his mouth, his other hand still clutching desperately at his stomach.
"Poisoned? Poor fellow!"
Watson interrupted me. "Elementary, my dear Watson, obviously so," I responded. Adams was on holiday with his wife, son, and daughter-in-law. Naturally, I started by interviewing them. His wife, Rose, was surprisingly young to be the wife of Adams, in actual fact, younger than his son's wife. She said she had come down for breakfast and found Adam's son, Peter, and his wife, Lorna, already halfway through their breakfast. She recalled that her husband asked why they were so early, and Peter said that they were going on some game drive. Apparently Adams was in high spirits and sat down to sip his tea. A few minutes later he excused himself to go to the washroom. Rose did not think anything was amiss until he came out of the washroom and staggered as he walked back to the table. She found that strange, since he had not taken any strong drink since waking up. He sat at the table, obviously trying very hard to conceal his agony, but soon it must have gotten unbearable because he started clutching his stomach and moaning in pain. As luck would have it, there was no doctor in the hotel. He had left the day before on some long game drive and had yet to return. Somebody suggested he be given some warm milk, but before it could arrive from the kitchen, he was on the floor. She watched helplessly as Adams died right there on the floor. It all happened so fast.
"I have not lived for years with Sherlock Holmes for nothing. In cases like this, you need not look further than your spouse for the villain,"
Watson piped out. "Precisely, my dear Watson, but as I have already told you, I never guess. It is a shocking habit, destructive to the logical faculty. Beware of the obvious, which may not always be as obvious as you think."